I'm here today to talk to you about my project, Brno hraje and the idea behind it. My talk may not be as academic as the ones of my colleagues here because I became an urban game designer 4 years ago, and I started my academic research of this topic only a few months ago, so I will share my experience with site-specific educational urban games that I do in this project. Before I start, I want to do two things. First, I want to take a step from the digital realm, from video games into the real world, into non-digital games. And the second thing is a little imaginative exercise we're going to do now. So please close your eyes for a moment. Don't fall asleep. And imagine your home. Imagine the place where you live. Imagine the inside of your home. Go through all the rooms and focus for a little while on the emotions you feel when you are thinking about your home. And now come outside, come to the street, to the public space, and for a little while longer, focus on how that makes you feel. Do you care about the public space in immediate distance to your home as much as you care about your living room? And what do you know about the place you live in? What do you know about the surroundings of the building you live in? And now you can come back here. It was only for a moment to create this idea of emotions linked with home and emotions linked with public spaces. This is my home in Bratislava, just to illustrate. So what is public space? According to sociologist Zachary Neal, public space is all areas that are open and accessible to all members of the public in a society. And according to architect and urbanist Jan Gehl, the cities and their public spaces are the places where people meet to exchange ideas, trade, or simply relax and enjoy themselves. A city's public domain, its streets, squares, and parks, is the stage and the catalyst for these activities. Public space has many definitions, but for me the important idea behind public space is the two frames of reference it includes. As the theorist of architecture Petr Kratochvíl says, public space is defined by the physical shape of the space as well as by the life which fills it. Public space belongs to all of us, but what does that mean? That nearly no one cares. And I'm not talking about the volunteering and taking things in our hands, not at all. I am talking about becoming active part of the community, about becoming active in the matter that we care about decisions made about the city we live and that we care about our surroundings. So we actively look for information, look for the stories that the city has. The beginning of Brno hraje was a pursuit to establish a relationship between the city, its architecture, its story, its public spaces, and the dwellers. Because in my opinion, this relationship is really crucial for the growth of our cities. It was the year 2011, and we were thinking about how to do that, how to build a relationship between the citizens and the city. How to show people that the city where they live, work, or study matters. We tried public discussions, we tried guided tours with architects, we tried exhibitions, and I'm not saying it didn't work, but it wasn't as effective as we hoped. Then we started to discover the world of urban games. I think that I don't have to explain to you that games can be very engaging, that they include emotions, and that they can help to build a relationship. Games and play are one of the most natural ways of how we learn and how we discover the world as children, and it don't have to change when we grow up. And urban games and play are great tools how to discover and learn about the city. Now, 4 years later, we do urban games in Brno hraje. More specifically, we do site-specific educational urban games. This term may be new or not clear to you, so please let me explain what does that mean and how these games look like and work. To make these games, we use interesting but not well-known places with genius loci, which can be connected by story, the history of particular area, life story of an architect, important sites from one era or controversy, current situation, or future plans. When we find these locations, we design a game based on discovering and learning about them. Players go from one place to another, solving problems, engaging in creative tasks, learning, and most importantly, having fun. I would like to go from the abstract into the concrete, and I will describe one of our games to you. The game was called Discover Bronx. And for those of you who are not from Brno, I will quickly describe this part of the city. The label Bronx is used to describe the part of city near the streets Cale and Francouzska, as you can see in the map. And it's the northeast part of the city, really near to the city center. It is well known in Brno because mostly Romas live there, but that is not the only interesting or important fact about this complicated part of the city. For example, the pattern of groups of people living here and then leaving, neither of which was always voluntary. First the Jews, then Germans, then Roma and migrants, especially Ukrainian. Now Romas are leaving and students are claiming this space. That historical change leaves its marks in this area. That's why we made a game about the story, about the history of the locality. And to help with understanding why there are so many game rooms and bazaars, why there are no trash bins and quality public space, and why there are so many gaps between houses in this part of the city. So I will take you through the game so you can imagine again how these games we do work. First we started at Moravské náměstí, which is kind of a gate into this locality. And we're starting by picking your character. You randomly choose if you will be a Jew, German, Roma, or Czech for the rest of the game. And we also describe the story behind the game. We describe how urban games work. So we, to the groups of participants, because this game is in groups of 3 or 4 people, we give them a map. We told them that they are going to go from point A to point B, and they will discover more and more about this part of the city, and that they need to have in mind the point of view that they are engaging in, the point of view defined by the character they picked. So they can imagine how it was or how it is for Germans to live there, for Roma people, for Czech. First stage was at Francouzska Street, where we made this task to connect translation of Czech and Roma words. So they were learning some Roma words. And when they completed the task, they were given information about this part, about current situation in this location. And they went further to Přádlatská Street, where they were filling the gaps in a text about developer company Kuba and Dvořák, which in between wars was the first developer company building this house, and also selling all the flats in it. Again, they received the information. Then they went to a park near Interspar, near the market, and there we were describing how this part of the city was Moravian Manchester, how it was industrial since the end of the 18th century, and by engaging them in this play of life statues, they were challenged to show us how they imagine workers work in a factory in that time by using their bodies, by using activity. Then they continued to squash, today squash. First it was City Market Hall, then it was the gym, then again Market Hall, then cinema with the first widescreen movie in 1957. So they were making a storyboard with 3 frames for any movie they decide to do it for. Then we guided them to penitentiary. It's this kind of a prison for not this serious crime, which was first an orphanage with a chapel, then a penitentiary, where they confessed a sin anonymously. They write a sin on a post-it and put it there. And it was quite interesting, I have to say, the sins that people write down. Then they were guided to Mahan Theatre, which is again kind of a gate to this part of our area, more south, but it's really a city center. So it's in between this part of town and the city center. Then there they were composing a poem. So imagine yourself sitting near this beautiful theater, composing a poem about electricity, about the city and electricity, because Mahan Theatre was the first electrified theater at the end of the 19th century. Then they continued to destroy synagogue near the hospital and filling the test about the history of this part of the city. And the end, the finish, was at the House of Union Forces at Spolková Street, where there is this abandoned house, which was really important part of the city, but now it's empty. And there they finished their game tour, and they were encouraged to read again all the information that they were given for all the tasks, and to make a story about their character that they made at the beginning. So this is only one example of how we do urban games. Yeah. Of course, it's not the only way how to create playful experience in the city or how to make a game in public space, but it's the way which we do in Brno hraje. Now, hopefully, you have a better idea what the site-specific educational game is. Just to wrap it up, the site-specific means that the tasks at the stops in the game are designed specially for that location, and that the story is in line with the environment where the game takes place. The educational part means that the participants are taught something, that they are given information, so they can learn more about these places. And the urban aspect means that it is happening in the city, in the public space, and the game part refers to the fun part, and the emotional or experiential part, which can be seen as Carl Rogers' learning with the whole body concept, which means learning including emotions as well as information. Experiential learning, learning based on experience, is a chapter on its own, and I am not going to talk about it here because there is not much time left. But I will remind you of Chinese saying, tell me and I'll forget, show me and I may remember, involve me and I will understand. I know that 2 hours game on Saturday afternoon is not the same experience as living somewhere, but it can be a starting point for the active interest in the city, in places we pass every day, and in the public space in both its meanings, hardware and software, buildings and architecture, as well as our fellow citizens. In the feedback to this game, I described to you, a lot of participants were telling us that they had no idea about the stories we showed them, and that it was a really strong experience for them to engage in activities which made them think about this historical context surrounding this area. To sum it all up, urban games can be a powerful tool in building the relationship between the city and its dwellers. Having a relationship with someone or with our city means to care, and caring citizens may become more active and participative, as Esther was talking. They may be more responsible for the urban environment, they have better understanding of the city, and its stories and history. And they are often active members or builders of local communities and neighborhoods. And of course, urban games are not cure for everything, but they can be not just a mean for having fun in the city, but they can help increase the interest in city-related topics in its citizens. As I said, the way how we in Brno Hraje na City make urban games is just one of many approaches which can be used, and we can find examples of different urban games also in Czech Republic. And hopefully we will see more urban games and playful activities in the public space of Brno and all Czech cities and all the world. Because for me the equation is clear: we play, therefore we care. We care, therefore we actively look for creative solutions to make our living in the cities better. Thank you.